everyone. Welcome to this event. I'm very excited to be here. I'm Kaki Brown. I am a mom to a beautiful 7-month-old baby girl and a happy member of the Auggie community. So, if you're new here, Auggie is a space where parents can connect, share honest experiences, and get real support from people who just get it, which is huge for anyone. I'm so excited to be moderating today's conversation on setting boundaries after baby, something I'm sure so many of us are navigating right now. We're joined by Lauren Allwood, a licensed therapist and mom herself. She's here to help us unpack the emotional side of setting boundaries with in laws, parents, and even within our own partnerships. Yeah, with that being said, let's dive in. Feel free to drop your questions in the chat as we go, and I'll be helping monitor that. And we will have some time at the end for Lauren to get to those. But without further ado, I'll hand it over to Lauren.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me. I am so very happy to be here. As Kaki said, I am Lauren Allwood. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist and a boundary coach for millennial moms. I am a millennial mom myself. I have two boys. They are 7 and 3 years old, so it's absolute mayhem in my house most of the time. My husband and I have been together for 15 years, and we will be married for 10 of them this September, which is crazy to think about. I am a born and raised New Englander, although I currently live in Southwest Florida. We are moving back home to Connecticut this summer, and we are so very excited. We can't wait to be back to the place we call home. I'm an expert in family dynamics with about 10 years experience, and I have advanced training in maternal mental health because once I became a mom 7 years ago, I really realized just how underprepared women are for so many changes that come with motherhood. And I just had to do something about it. I couldn't live with myself if I didn't try to make change in that. So I've seen firsthand over the years, and myself, how hard it is to navigate in-law dynamics, especially when you become a parent. In-law dynamics, whether your in-laws are the ones who might cause some trouble, meaning your parents are the in-laws who cause the trouble, or your partner's parents. So my mission is to help women create peace in their home and motherhood without guilt or drama. So let's jump right in. Becoming a parent changes everything, right? Which is the most obvious statement ever that somehow says everything and it doesn't really even cover half of it, right? We expect our bodies to change. We're still surprised in a lot of ways at those changes. We expect to be tired. Oh my God, that sleep deprivation is no joke. And we might have even expected to face some growing pains with our partners, right? Because we have an awareness of how different life will be just because there's a whole other human. Even the most planned for, the most wanted, the most researched pregnancies will rock the faces off new parents. It is just unavoidable. So, get to this slide. Bear with me. So many are completely unprepared for the ways becoming a parent changes the relationships we have with our own parents and our in-laws, and ultimately the stress that those changes will put on our relationship and our marriage. So many have expectations that their parents will be the grandparents that they had growing up: helpful, kind, empathetic, sensitive, involved. However, some know that they already have a difficult family member and they will likely only become more difficult once a baby is here. So, no matter which one fits, no one is really prepared for just how much distress can be felt on new parents or parents to young children, even who are no longer consider themselves new parents, who are managing extended family drama on top of navigating parenthood, marriage, and whatever your career, whether inside the home or outside, might be. According to the Gottman Institute, the transition into parenthood, which is going from 2 individuals to now 3, is one of the most profound shifts a couple will ever go through. You're not just learning to care for a baby, right? You're renegotiating everything: roles, expectations, and how to be a team under a stress that you've never, ever felt before. And this is exactly why your relationship needs to be supported and protected by people who love us, which is our in laws and our parents. So I'm curious, have you ever felt like you were stuck between your partner, your parents, their parents, or like you're the referee of everyone else's expectations? I know I have absolutely felt that way. Let's talk about what actually changes after a baby enters the picture. Because it's not just the sleepless nights or the diaper changes, right? It's the relationships. Your relationship with your partner, your relationship with yourself, and maybe most unexpectedly, your relationship with your parents and your in laws. Because, see, when a baby is born, a family system shifts. It has to shift. You're born into your family of origin. You grow up. You're supposed to develop. You desire your own family. You create your family of creation, right? So now your loyalty can no longer be to your family of origin. Developmentally, it has to belong to this new family that you've chosen to create. And those shifts can stir up old patterns, old expectations. They can bring out the worst in people, power struggles. I have always said in my work to my clients, the two events that I think make people pretty nutty are weddings and babies. You really learn a lot about people when those two events happen. So suddenly, your mom might start acting like you're a child again, or your in laws start showing up unannounced because they just want to help. Meanwhile, you're trying to heal, you're trying to learn how to breastfeed, you're surviving on 3 hours of sleep, and you're also trying to keep the peace at the same time. It's a lot. And as I said earlier, the transition to parenthood is one of the hardest things a couple will ever go through in their entire lifetime. So, on top of that, many new moms feel this huge internal pressure to be the good daughter or the grateful daughter in law, the one who doesn't rock the boat. So, instead of setting boundaries, they swallow their discomfort, they people please, or they explode after holding it all in. But here's what I want you to hear: boundaries are not a rejection of your family, they are protection for your peace. They are not about shutting people out. They are about making space for what matters most now, which is your recovery, your mental health, your emotional health, your baby's routine, their well being, and the connection with your partner. This is what boundaries actually do. They enhance the bond of this new family of creation that you formed. They protect new parents' peace. They don't punish others. And they preserve relationships. They don't end them. And if you want your family that you've just created to thrive, boundaries are a non negotiable. So let's talk about what it actually looks like to set boundaries. Think of setting boundaries with extended family as three digestible, practical steps, right? You got boundaries, backup, and balance. Let's start with the one word that either makes people cringe or completely freeze up: boundaries. Maybe you've heard it 100 times, or maybe this is new territory. But let me just say this: if the word boundary makes you feel like you're being mean or rude, you are definitely not alone. That's what most of the clients who work with me feel too. And here's the deal: most of us were never taught what a boundary really is. We were taught how to keep the peace, we were taught how to avoid conflict, how to be the easygoing one, or the good girl, or the good daughter, the easy one. So when we do start setting boundaries, it can feel unnatural, right? Like we're suddenly this villain in our own story, which we never ever intended to be. But I really want to reframe this for you, okay? A boundary is not a wall, it is not a punishment, and it is definitely not a rejection. It's simply a limit, that protects what matters most to you. And after having a child, your time, your rest, your peace, your relationship, your bond with your kids, those things matter deeply and have to be number one priority. It's no longer being a daughter or a son first. And that is such a hard shift to make. It really is, but it is imperative, right? So let's say your mother-in-law wants to stop by every afternoon unannounced, and you're in the middle of cluster feeding, or you finally got that toddler down to nap. You don't need to defend that. You can just simply say, we're getting into a routine right now, and I really need that quiet time in the afternoon. So let's just plan for another time that works. It's with that tone, easy breezy, neutral, a non issue, unbothered, right? Very simply said. Getting into a routine, let's plan for another time that works. That's a boundary. It's kind, it's clear, it protects your peace. Boundaries don't have to be harsh. You don't have to explain your entire life story. You don't even need the other person to like the boundary for it to be valid. What matters is that you feel grounded, clear, and aligned with what your family needs. That means your new family, your family of creation, and not what keeps everyone else happy. One of my favorite tools to make boundaries feel more doable is this simple sentence structure. So when you're not sure what to say, try I feel, I need, I'm going to. So it might sound like I feel overwhelmed when people drop by without warning. So I need more rest and predictability right now, I think. So I'm going to start asking that we just schedule visits ahead of time. Thanks so much. That's it. No guilt, no drama, just clarity. When you start setting boundaries, some people might push back, to say the least, right? Not because you're doing anything wrong, but because they're used to the old version of you, the one who didn't have a baby and didn't have this life that you have. That's okay. Let them adjust. You're doing what's needed for your well being, your marriage, and your baby. Those are the only people that you owe anything to, contrary to what you've been conditioned to think. So now that we've talked about your role, let's look at how your partner fits into all of this because boundaries are way easier to hold when you feel like you're on the same team. Okay, so we've talked about boundaries with parents and in laws, but now let's talk about what might be even harder than saying no to your mother in law. It's navigating all of this when your partner doesn't really get it. Maybe they freeze up when their mom crosses a line, or maybe they say things like, oh, she's just trying to help, or can we not make a big deal out of this? In the meantime, you're sitting there thinking, how am I the only one feeling the tension? If that's you, you are so not alone. Most couples hit this snag after a baby or having children in general because truthfully, you're both figuring out what the hell to do and how to be parents, but you're also figuring out how to protect your new family unit. And sometimes one partner takes a little longer to realize that the old dynamics with their parents just won't work anymore. It doesn't work anymore. It's not supposed to work anymore because you can't be in two places at once. You can't do two full-time jobs at once and do them well. Here's what I want to offer. It is not always about blame. Sometimes your partner just doesn't know what to say, or they grew up in a family where going along was easier than speaking up. But that doesn't mean you have to carry it all alone. One of the most powerful shifts people who work with me learn is how to talk to their partner like a teammate and not an enemy. So here's a phrase I love. I'm not mad at you. I just don't want to feel like I'm doing this alone. And that opens the door to connection instead of defensiveness. So let's say your in laws are overstaying their welcome. Instead of saying, why do you always let your mom take over with that tone, right? Why? Try when your mom stays for hours, I end up feeling really like tense and not in control of my own space. I'd love to figure out a plan together so we're both comfortable. That signals I'm on your team, but I need you in this with me, right? So when you start a need or a conversation with, why do you always? Instantly, this person's going to become defensive and that cuts the connection. So remembering to lean in with an I feel. When this happens, I end up feeling really tense. This is what I need. I need us to figure out a plan together. It might take a few tries. It will definitely take a few tries. And your partner might not say it perfectly the first time they talk to their parents. But even small moments of support can make a huge difference. A simple, oh, we're going to rest today, but let's plan for another time, can feel like gold when it comes from both of you. And remember, the goal here is not perfection, it's progress. You don't need your partner to be a boundary ninja. You just need them to be in the ring with you. And once you start showing up as a team, it becomes so much easier to hold those boundaries together without guilt or confusion or drama. So we've talked about setting boundaries and how to strengthen your team with your partner. But what often trips moms up the most isn't knowing what to do, it's the guilt they feel when they actually do it. You set a boundary and then you spiral. Was I too harsh? What if they think I don't appreciate them? Am I being dramatic? Am I oversensitive? Am I the problem? Should I just go with it? Any of this sound familiar? Here's what I want you to know. Guilt doesn't always mean you did something wrong. Sometimes guilt just shows up when you do something new, especially if you were raised to believe that being a quote unquote good daughter or good daughter in law means being endlessly available and agreeable. But being a good mom and a good parent and a good father does not mean being a doormat. In fact, it means the complete opposite. You are allowed to protect your peace. You are allowed to say no without over explaining. You are allowed to trust your own instincts, even if it disappoints someone else. One thing the clients who work with me inside my group coaching program learn is how to challenge that guilt. One of the fastest ways to do that is with this simple question. If guilt means, by definition, that I've done something wrong, right? What is it I'm actually doing wrong right now? 9 times out of 10 in scenarios like we're talking about today, the answer you're going to find is nothing. So just because you feel guilty doesn't mean you are guilty. I'm going to say that again. Just because you feel guilty does not mean you are guilty. You're not choosing between being kind or having boundaries. You can be both. You can be warm and firm. You can say no and still be a loving, generous person. That balance is possible. And it starts with giving yourself permission. So when that guilty voice creeps in, try to meet it with truth, not with shame, not with overthinking. Just a quiet reminder that you're doing something powerful. You're building a family life that works for you. And that's not only okay, it's essential. So now you've seen the 3 core pieces, right? Boundaries that actually protect your peace, partner support that helps you feel like a team, and the confidence to hold it all without guilt. But let's be real, knowing what to do and actually doing it, especially when family pressure shows up, are 2 very different things. This stuff takes practice, it takes reminders, it takes support and encouragement. So if this speaks to you, if you've been in these shoes before, of the situations and the examples we talked about today, we can work together and get through this. You can get through the other side. You can coexist in a peaceful way with your extended family, with your in-laws or your parents, and with the support of your husband or your partner. So you've done enough pretending everything is fine. So let's actually make it better. You know where you're stuck. You want better boundaries that actually work. You're craving support from your partner, and you're ready for peace without guilt. And that's exactly what we do inside the in-law boundary blueprint program. So here's everything that's included inside this in-law boundary blueprint program. It's a step-by-step 6-month coaching program designed to help you set clear, confident boundaries with difficult in-laws and family without guilt, stress, or constant conflict. This is not a course that just sits in your inbox and collects dust, right? This is a live, supportive container where I help you put these tools into practice each week, each day. We go deeper into your real life situations, what to say, how to handle pushback, how to stay calm, even when your husband freezes up, how to celebrate. So you'll get coaching from me, connection with other moms who get it, and step by step support. So by the end of the program, you're going to feel more in control, emotionally lighter, and confident in standing your ground without second guessing yourself. Your marriage will feel more united, your interactions with your in laws will be less stressful, and you'll no longer carry this weight of guilt for choosing what's best for your family. So here's the full price of this program, guys. It's $24.77. But because you're here today and you've taken this awesome step to learning more about how to take better care of yourself and your family, I'm going to give it to you for 60% off, which makes it just $9.97. And if you sign up by the end of our time here, you'll also get an extra month in the program. So that's an extra month with access to all of the material and support from me. But I'm only able to offer that for the next 15 minutes or so, okay, with this bonus. So by the time we end today. So again, if you've been feeling stuck, second guessing yourself, or holding back to avoid conflict, I want you to know you don't have to keep doing it alone. Scan that QR code right here from your camera app on your phone. This is your space to get the clarity, the confidence, and the backup that you've been craving. So again, today it would be a one-time investment of that $9.97 for 7 months of working together. And that's a savings of $1,500 because I want you to feel supported and not stretched. This is about getting real relief and real tools without waiting for things to get worse. However, if you're not quite ready to pull the trigger, if it feels like too much in this moment, you have questions or you want to chat, find me on Instagram at Lauren A Therapist. So we can chat and talk through things, right? And see if this program is a right fit for you. And that's all I have today. And I know there's going to be a lot of questions, so I wanted to make sure we have time for everyone to feel like they get what they need from that.
Awesome, Lauren. Thank you so, so much. Setting boundaries are so hard. I know I struggle with them personally with my own family, with my in-laws, all of it. So yeah, guys, please drop in the chat if you have any questions for Lauren, and I will read them out loud and get her thoughts. I have one actually to get us started, if that's okay.
Yeah.
So I have been setting or trying to set boundaries with my own mother, which is hard because I think you kind of mentioned this earlier. She's used to me being like this good daughter who is always available and is always helpful and all of that. But now that I'm setting these boundaries, she is not as receptive to them, first of all. And she feels like even though I'm the one communicating them and talking to her, she thinks they're coming from my partner.
Mm.
And so I worry that it's going to cause her to like dislike him or anything like that. So do you have any suggestions for navigating that and letting her know it's coming from both of us, and I am also asking for this, it's not him only?
Yeah. How I guess my first question to start with that is how do you communicate it? Like what have you tried when you are communicating?
I had a face-to-face conversation with her when we visited and things came up. So I just, kind of sat her down, and she was very defensive and kind of came back with, um, you like kind of don't talk to me like I'm the child, wanting me to still be in that kind of child role. But yes, I've tried like the direct approach.
Hmm. Something that can be powerful with that. And I'm assuming when you talk with her, you're saying we. Hey, this is something
Yes.
that we're really wanting. We want this. This is what we'd like. This is what works for us. That's what you mean by using like a collective sort of language. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Um, you know, again, I mentioned that this is a shift that is so hard for parents because up until now, they were not on the same playing field in a lot of ways with their adult children. But now it's like, no, this is mother to mother now. right? So you can acknowledge, like, I know this is hard for you to see me as a full adult now, and I
Mhm.
need you to respect what I'm saying if you want to continue to spend time. That's the hard part too about boundaries is it requires a consequence in a lot of ways when you have found you've tried repeatedly without that use, the use of consequence, and you're not getting anywhere, you're not feeling heard. I need you to respect what we're saying, or it will be really hard to spend time with you. We won't be able to anymore.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. I have yet to meet in all my years a single adult child who's like, I love giving ultimatums to my mom.
Sure.
It's like, no, nobody wants to do this. Absolutely not. Um, so yeah, I think finding a um comfortable natural consequence, right? It's a choice. We're
Okay.
all adults, we all make choices. Your mom
Absolutely.
choosing, because that's what it is, choosing to disrespect you and not listen to have a collaborative relationship will then affect the choice that you have to make.
Sure.
You can choose to not listen, and then we will just have to make different choices. It's very simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That's so helpful. Thank you. Hard to do, but it's the best for like our family, like you
Yeah,
said.
exactly.
All right. We have one from Julianne. How would you respond to unsolicited parenting advice with a boundary?
Um, ex Respond with a boundary to unsolicited, I think. Okay.
Yes.
Um, I always like a quick little validation. If you're feeling kind, you don't have to. You definitely don't have to, right? But like, thanks so much for that information. We feel really good with what we're gonna do. Thanks. Right. So it's kind of like a little, I hear what you're saying. That's a great idea. We feel great with what we're doing. Um, so I'll let you know if we need information or options. Thanks so much. Ending with a thanks so much or thanks for understanding. Like, hey, like in another example, we were gonna like say you were supposed to go to your in-laws for dinner, but you're exhausted or whatever, or you just can't. Telling them what's happening. Hey, we need to just take the night off. We're exhausted. Let's set a new time up for next weekend. Can't wait to see you. Thanks so much for understanding. I really appreciate it. With like a heart emoji. That implies to them that they have no choice but to get it, right? You're assuming like you're going to get this. So that's another tool that I really like when it comes to expressing um, boundaries.
I love that. From Julie, how do you navigate when you see a need to set a boundary, but your partner does not?
Yeah, that
It's a great
is
question.
super, super, super common. Um, so it's not about them. They don't need to understand it for it to be real. Does that make sense? Y- You're gonna not we see things differently, right? My husband sees something, you're like, oh, if our son does this, then I'm worried about that. And maybe I'm thinking, I don't see that at all. But what I'm hearing is my husband's having a feeling about this. And that's what we need to honor. So when our partners don't honor our feeling about a boundary, that's the issue, right? I just want to make sure I'm reading this again. How do you navigate when you see a need to set a boundary, but your partner does not? It's expressing that it's important to you. Like I feel uncomfortable without this here. I need this in order to feel better, right? And less anxious. I really need you to support me, even if you don't understand. They don't need to understand it, but they do need to respect it.
Okay. Our next one is, how do you handle in-laws only wanting to hang out with your toddler inside? It drives me crazy just sitting around our living room.
Um, it's hard without knowing like the full context. Like, are there physical limitations to them? Um, like what's the setup of how this comes to be? Like, how is the invitation? Like, what is no, okay, so
No,
no, okay, no physical limitations. They just feel safer inside. Huh. Yeah, that's tricky. Again, without more context that we don't have time to get into. The name of the game here is we don't exist to make other people comfortable when it comes to our family, right? So if you need to be outside, if your child wants to be outside, and it's going to be their adult choice whether they want to come or not.
I like that. Thank you. Any other questions from the chat? Lauren, is there anything you wanted to add?
Oh, hang in there, especially when it comes to your partnership and navigating all of this stuff. I mean, neither of you have done this before, you or your partner. And if we're being generous, maybe some of us have never done this before, like our in-laws have never done this if you're the first to have grandkids. Um, so it does take time to figure this stuff out. But the bottom line is emotional safety, right? You need to feel emotionally safe. Everyone deserves to feel emotionally safe all the time, especially a mom and when it comes to her child. So that's really what we're talking about a lot of times is wanting to feel like we're being heard and respected. And it's really difficult when we learn that people get caught up in what they want or need from your child. And a lot of that has nothing to do with you. And a lot of it you have no control over, right? But you do have control over how you um, relate to their stuff, right? You do have control over if you go to certain things, if you say yes to certain things, how you exist with certain people. So focusing on what you can control is really powerful too, because unfortunately we can't change anybody else, but we can express our needs and know what our limitations are if those needs refuse to ever be met. The expectation can't be that you just suffer. That can't be it. If you want to be, well, you deserve to be this happy, healthy, comfortable person, especially for yourself, but also your kids. The expectation can't be that you live in discomfort for other people to be happy. And a lot of times that is our partner and their discomfort with disappointing their parents.
Yeah, wow, that's so powerful. I love that. Thank you so much, everyone. Lauren, thank you. We appreciate you being here and answering all of our questions in this amazing presentation. Um, yeah, thank you guys for joining. We will let you go. Have a great rest of your day and weekend.